Hi, I'm Lady B Cubed and welcome to Practical Gardening. Today we're going to be talking a bit about composting. What is composting? Simply put, composting is when we have organic material, biodegradable material that is left in a state for a period of time until it breaks down naturally and basically becomes soil once more. Some of the benefits of composting are that you reduce your waste in terms of what you're sending to the landfill, because composting involves using your kitchen scraps and other biodegradable material rather than sending it to the dump. So you're reducing your waste. I guarantee that if and when you begin composting, you're going to see a significant reduction in the amount of garbage that you're putting out. Composting also is an organic source of nutrients for your garden. When you have a composting setup going and you are sure what is in your compost, so you know for a fact that you haven't treated it with any chemicals, you haven't put anything in it that is going to have a long-term negative impact or effect on your garden, you're sure of the organic source, and so we can pretty much stop buying compost in the stores that we're not sure of because we're making our own. Composting also helps to build the soil. So if, for example, you have a garden that the soil quality is said to be poor, like the property that I came to in 2021, you're realizing that when you compost, over time, the quality of the soil improves. So let's take a little bit of a deeper look now. How does one actually do their composting? So for me, I don't adhere to the scientific principles. There are some ratios that are used in terms of this amount of brown to this amount of green. I don't know what is brown versus green. I just put everything in and it works for me. If you want to go the scientific route, that is fine for you. But I compost by putting, as I said before, anything that is coming out of my kitchen that can be broken back down naturally. So automatically, you're talking about your kitchen scraps. I also put meat in my compost, so bones and skin and those things. It might be a bit smelly, but I put it in and it works. There's a school of thought that says that those things shouldn't go, but if it breaks down into soil, why not? So I put those things into my compost. I also put yard waste. So that's another way that we're reducing waste again, going to the landfill. Because yard waste, you're talking about when you trim your trees, mow your lawn, all of those good stuff, they're going into my compost as well. Sometimes I keep them in piles until they dry out a little bit and I use them back as mulch. But that's another segment and another video altogether. Another thing that I try to ensure that I do is the containers that I use. I can use big flower pots that have the drainage holes at the bottom, or I use regular buckets and I have holes punched in the bottom, as long as there is somewhere for the compost tea that is building up to leak out, so that way a compost actually gets a chance to get some drying out being done. So you have to have those containers that have holes in the bottom, as well as you can simply dig a hole in the ground, and the earth around it is naturally going to be permeable, so it will leach into the earth around it. You can also do it the old time way of putting the kitchen scraps at the base of your trees. Don't cover it, right? Leave it alone, just like how we do into the old days. You just toss it there and leave it. So that's another way that you can compost. One of the things that I want you to know about composting, though, is that it is an exercise in patience. It takes a while. So we're not going to see the results like this. Took over a year to get to this state. You're not going to see the results immediately. It takes a while. It takes patience. And all we have to do is leave it alone. Put the material together and leave it alone. Stir every now and then, add to it every now and then if you feel a mind to, but the essence is that time will do its job. It is unbelievable that what you're looking at here was once separate portions of kitchen scraps, kitchen waste, cane trash, a little chicken bone here, some yard waste there. All of that combined created this. So it takes time. So just leave it alone and let time do what it has to do. I'm going to show you now what is happening in 2023 as it relates to my composting setup. So this is the composting pit that you saw earlier. I've had to go up by another block because it's getting so full. And these are my new composting buckets. Just regular 5-gallon buckets, bottles rather, that I wasn't using anymore, and I just punch holes in the bottom, put the stuff in, fill it up and leave it. This level is still kind of high, so it has a little bit way to go, as does this one, but they're all sitting now for maybe 6 to 8 months approximately. And ever so often, if the level drops and I need something, I need some space, I just drop something into it. I don't have a problem doing that, and I keep them going like that. What I do from time to time as well is I put these composting buckets directly at the roots of some of my seedlings. So that way, when the compost tea, this one is way down, it's almost ready to go, almost good to go. I put them at the roots of my seedlings. So the compost tea, which is a liquid that you find leaching off of all of that biodegradable stuff, breaking down and stuff, it goes directly to the root of the plant. And that is another phenomenal way of getting your composting, your organic material into your garden. I'm going to tell you how rich the compost is. I created 2 compost pits, and I've not really been able to use either one of them because things have been growing in them on their own. Like these boxes, the papaya came up on its own, and I'm just going to leave it alone until it's ready for me to get back into my box. And I have 2 other composting pits that sweet potatoes have taken over. I didn't plant sweet potatoes, but they came and they took over because the soil is already that rich. Composting, ladies and gentlemen, it is something that I would encourage every gardener to do. It is easy, it is affordable. You do not need any fancy schmancy setups. You don't need to have a degree in agriculture. You don't need to go to any classes to learn how to compost. It is something that all you need is the container, the material which is already coming out of your kitchen and coming out of your garden. You put it together, you leave it alone. Let nature do what nature does best. It doesn't matter what kind of space you have either. You might not have a big enough backyard like I do. And I'll tell you this, I started my composting from my container gardening days, where I just had the buckets lined off near to the kitchen door. So each time I went out, I would just drop something in. And it worked wonders in that little container. And then I took those containers when they were ready and simply used the compost that was there to put back into my flower pots, and the response of my plants was phenomenal. So you don't need to have a big space. As I said earlier, you can even dig a hole in your backyard and call that your composting area. But the essence of it is something that we all can do, no matter what your gardening level is. And so I'm encouraging you to, the next time you have that kitchen waste and you're looking to put it in the garbage bin, get a bucket or create a pile in your backyard using regular blocks. Get composting and your garden will love it. Until next time, Same time, well, not the same time, but same channel for practical gardening. Have a good one.